Hi, have you tried unsuccessfully to use social media and Pinterest to drive traffic to your online business? Well, we're going to fix that problem today. In today's tutorial, we're going to show you 5 tips that will allow you to use Pinterest to dramatically increase web traffic to your online business. We're going to show you how we've leveraged our Maritime Vintage Pinterest boards to generate more than 1 million reoccurring monthly views of our Pinterest pins. Duncan Gillis, and today I'm tackling a question I get asked almost every single day, is how do I drive and convert traffic to my website? Today, I'm going to show you in non-technical terms how to harness the untapped power of Pinterest to drive large amounts of targeted, convertible traffic to your small business website. Many small businesses ignore or use Pinterest incorrectly. They end up putting their effort into Facebook or other social channels and ignore Pinterest or don't leverage its SEO capabilities. This is a huge mistake. We'll show you the analytics behind Maritime Vintage and how we have harnessed the power of Pinterest to drive over 1 million monthly impressions on maritimevintage.com landing page. So if you haven't started using Pinterest as a marketing tool yet, it's about time you do. Come with me and I will show you the steps required to configure Pinterest to start driving convertible traffic to your website. Take a quick look at some of the Pinterest analytics information for Maritime Vintage to show you how we grew our daily and monthly pin impressions exponentially. We were very quickly, over a 6-month period, able to run that up to a 500,000 monthly viewer level. And we've subsequently now run that up yet again with our own rich and our own content up to 1 million monthly viewers. And to put that into perspective, we're converting our clicks and save-throughs at about 30%. So any of you marketers out there, if you do the math on that, that is just an amazing conversion traffic that we're able to leverage and drive at our Maritime Vintage site, or basically any site we so desire. Another point I'm going to come back to is that you have to remember that Pinterest is different than other social media sites, be it Instagram or Facebook, in that it uses 3 analytic sources to drive pins that the viewer sees. The 3 sources would be people that are your followers, general pins that Pinterest itself is promoting, and pins that Pinterest thinks other viewers would be interested in based on the way you set up your SEO. And it's the third one that we're focusing this framework on. But because it does leverage the 3 different pillars here for SEO search results, the number of followers you have is not as important or near as important as it is on other social media sites. And for the purpose of this framework, at least in the early stages, we ignore the followers. Now they do come over time, and if you do the framework as we've outlined it correctly, you will find that your followers do quickly build up, but they're not the be-all and end-all, and they should not be your primary focus for leveraging the Pinterest marketing engine. So without further ado, here are the 5 easy-to-follow, non-technical steps to leverage the Pinterest marketing engine. The first is you have to optimize your profile about section. So to do that, once again, we go into Settings, we go to Profile, and you want to make sure you've updated both your About You section and your location. The key here is to use long-trailed keywords, or not so much what you would see in Twitter, where you have one-word hashtags. Although one-word hashtags do work, Pinterest tends not to like the hashtag symbol. It likes free-form text. You will see some people use the little keyboard breaks like this. What you want to be doing, though, is targeting phrases that people naturally search for when they're on a search engine, be it YouTube or in this case Pinterest, but things like your personal home decorating shopping service, home decorating project ideas, do-it-yourself home decorating tips. Those types of verbiage are exactly what you're looking for. So make sure you fill out this section first. And one of the repeating themes I'm going to have in each of these steps is that once you set these things, don't touch them again. Now, if you're getting no traction and no volume, you may have to play around with them a bit to find out the right terminologies that is being looked for by people. But once you start to see daily up creep in your Pinterest analytics, and it may take 3 or 4 weeks before you start to see this. Do not touch these things again. The minute you touch them, they're going to tank your SEO rankings and set you back to day one again. So it's very imperative that once you start getting a daily amount of average increase that's repeating over time, do not touch these profiles again. The next step you have to do is go in and actually create your boards within your Pinterest channel. So to do that, you go up here and make sure you're on your profile, go over to your boards, and initially you may not have any here, but there's always this option to create a new board. It's actually quite simple. You click on the option, and it's going to bring up, once again, another area where you've got to choose your name very carefully. So in general, the boards you want to have on your channel are boards that support your theme or the purpose of your shop. But we've also been very successful of having supportive boards that, although not directly linked to maritime life, drive a lot of traffic to our site. So for example, I have a very popular barbecue board and a very popular landscaping board. The landscaping board fits more closely with our maritime vintage theme, as we do garden decor packages. The barbecue board, not so much, but it's one of my passions, and I've got a lot of followers that found me due to having that barbecue board there. They then jump to the other boards where I'm able to leverage the Pinterest marketing machine. So once again, you've got to choose your phrasing here very carefully and choose things that people are going to search for. When you're looking for these names, one of the quick tips I've found is that you can actually do two things. You can go up here, and if you go into this section here with the 3 bars, you can find things that are popular on Pinterest. So if you're having challenges finding out what type of board you want to use, you can get some great ideas in here, and these are things that are trending right now on Pinterest. The other thing you can do is that if you were interested in, say, barbecues, like I just spoke about, you can type barbecue, and it's going to give you the trending topics down here, like barbecue ideas, barbecue recipes, barbecue sauce, barbecue chicken. So it can give you some ideas or concepts of what to call your boards or different boards you may want to use. So once again, I'm going to go back to my profile and boards and spend the time to choose your names right. There's a new feature in the boards that's just come out. We're just starting to get some analytic information on it, but it's the ability to make subboards. So in the past, Pinterest, you might have a color palette board where you might have 3,000 different colors, all yellow, red, blue mixed in, all very nice graphics. You can now start to set up subsections in your boards. So for example, I've now got this color palette board where I've got red color palettes, yellow, blue, green, and it's been very effective. And once again, as you go into these color boards, you also have one more time to actually set up your SEO terminology to reinforce the different things people are searching for. And it can become really powerful if you get your profile title, your main board title, your subboard titles, all quoting the same terminology, and then in the next step we're going to talk about carrying that terminology forward into the pins themselves. It becomes a very powerful marketing tool. So once again, if you do use these subboards, take the time to pick the right name for those subtopics. So that's a very quick general overview of the Pinterest boards, but the terminology you use in your board names is very important. And just a bonus note here, always remember to put a picture into your board. So you can actually do that by going in here, hitting edit, and you can actually pick the cover picture you want to use. So make sure you always put a cover picture in there too. It's a good marketing technique. Tip number 3, optimize your pin descriptions. You have to also configure the terminology in your pins to align with that within your boards and your profiles. So to give you an example of this, we're going to go into farmhouse style as one of our boards. You can actually see up here I've got the long-tailed keywords up here in my board profile: farmhouse, home style, decorating, design, project information, and there's a whole bunch of them in there. The part we're going to focus on now is the pins themselves. So if you actually go into the pin itself and you're actually going to say, I'm going to pin this onto one of my boards, you hit the save button. And what most people miss, and it's often forgot, is they keep the old description down here that the previous person had put in. In a lot of cases it might be Jane Doe, oh, don't you love this? Try it out. I did it myself. And it's not relative information for people searching for a topic. So you always want to make sure you update this section. And typically you would see me have something like this where I would have things that align with my board title. So I talk a lot where I'm a project manager about managing projects, project manager, home decor. So you'll see me carry those themes through all the different levels. But if you do not put it in the pins themselves, the whole process does not work. So this is a key and imperative step. The other thing to do as you're doing this is before you save the pin, you've actually got to make sure you don't have a dead link or a spam link. So it's always a good idea to actually go into the pin and actually make sure the site you're on goes through and actually connects to a trusted source. Because once again, as I spoke earlier, you don't want to be putting untrusted pins or pins with dead links out there. They really hurt your analytic results. That brings us to tip number 4, pin regularly and pin often. Pinterest, like most of the other social media channels, likes a lot of material coming onto their site, and they reward that. So they're looking for you to be actively pinning on your boards every single day. And it's actually a large amount of pinning you need to drive up the volumes I've been talking to in this video. So if you want it to be like we did at Maritime Vintage and within a year be having 500,000 plus monthly views, and within a year having over 1 million a month active views, you have to be pinning constantly. And the way to do this is you want to make sure you're hitting on average somewhere between 8 to 20 pins per board per day, and that volume has to go up as your daily impressions go up. So one way to do this is go in and do it yourself, and some people are just active. They naturally spend an hour every day on Pinterest, and that just becomes part of their routine. But there are third-party programs. One of the ones I've used quite successfully is called Tailwind. That brings us to tip number 5. Use a pin scheduling tool such as Tailwind. And what you can do is that you could spend a couple hours on a Saturday or Sunday pre-booking all of these pins that you validated they are trusted, you've updated all of the text descriptions on them, and then you can schedule them to go out into the future. And as you can see, I've used this program to actually schedule a large volume of pins many days into the future. And this is another key to success, is that repetition. Even taking a day off for 2 or 3 days in a row can really have a large negative impact on the amount of daily impressions you're getting. So this is a key step, is the repetition and to be continually pinning to your boards. And some of these scheduling tools such as Tailwind can be a great help. If you're interested in looking in Tailwind, I've actually left a link in the comments section down below where you can actually go in and take a look at this tool. I'm not paid by them at all. It's actually a great tool, and I swear by it. Saves me a huge amount of time. Tip number 5, play the long game. The Pinterest marketing framework relies heavily on trust factors and repetition. It is a long-term plan that can easily take a year or more to implement. So if you're looking for a drop shipping or pyramid scheme, this marketing framework is not for you. My Pinterest marketing framework does work, but it takes time and you need to commit to playing the long game. It took us well over a year to reach 500,000 monthly impressions, and an additional 4 months after that to ramp up to well over 1 million monthly impressions. But those levels are now holding steady, and we're able to leverage that awesome marketing power to drive traffic at our sites and at different locations. Pinterest may be the most undervalued marketing tool on the planet right now, and I have just shown you how to harness that power. But it does take work and dedication, and it takes time to build up your trust and authority rankings. You will find Pinterest to be your most valuable marketing tool in your arsenal if you stick to the plan and play the long-term game. In closing, if you're a marketer and you're not on Pinterest, then you're missing out on one of the biggest and most powerful marketing platforms on the planet. Pinterest has grown exponentially in popularity among mobile users, and it's now the second largest search engine that Google doesn't own. Some will call it a social media site, some will say no, it's a social search engine. In reality, it's both. We are seeing the merger of social and search, not just on Pinterest, but on Google, YouTube, and Facebook. The question is, can Google and Pinterest become Facebook before Facebook can become them? It's the classic Netflix, HBO battle in another domain. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, share, and comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to see more great social marketing videos like this one, subscribe to our channel below, as we'll have a new video every week that deals with marketing topics in the social media age. I'm Duncan Gillis from Maritime Vintage saying good night. Stay safe and watch out for those Cape Breton mountain chickens. I can only dream of having a Pinterest project that good.